Ahead on 12 News, the Northwest Metro's newest partnership, how Golden Valley and St. Louis Park plan to team up. Plus, the state of the cities, what's top of mind for the mayors of 4 local suburbs. But first, a warning about a certain type of fish product. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture is warning consumers not to eat uneviscerated fish.
This type of fish is mostly sold in African markets, and it could make people sick. Reporter Sonia Goins explains.
Fountain's African Market in Crystal has many items from West Africa. Palm oil, plantains, and bitter cola fruit. While there are many items for sale, there are some things on the store shelves that cannot be purchased. Now this is salted, uneviscerated fish. It means that the organs are still inside. The orange label on the packaging alerts consumers not to buy it. An official with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture came to the store on Tuesday and conducted an investigation.
She took sample to take to the lab.
William Kish owns the store. He says the officials also took other fish products.
This is a pike over here. And as you can see, she has an embargo on it. So this cannot be removed right now until she gets back.
Minnesota ag officials say when the internal organs are not removed, they could put people at risk for botulism.
This one is good because the internal organs was removed.
Authorities say food that is preserved by salting, drying, or pickling should be fully eviscerated before it's processed.
They got to go to the lab and open them.
William is hoping for a good testing outcome because every day these fish sit in the freezer is costing him cold cash.
If they come up and say, oh yeah, it's not good, he's going to have the business bad because I'm going to be shut up $366. Well, if they say it's all right, I'll be happy because I'll be able to sell it.
In Crystal, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
2 African grocery stores in Brooklyn Park were also investigated for selling uneviscerated fish. So far, no one has gotten sick, but the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is urging consumers to throw away any dried uneviscerated fish that they may have purchased.
The statistics on aging are staggering. By the year 2050, 22% or nearly 1 out of every 4 people will be over the age of 60. It's why a Brooklyn Park task force is planning ahead on issues affecting seniors. For the past year and a half, the Task Force on Aging looked at everything from housing to transportation to health care. They presented the findings to the Brooklyn Park Planning Commission Wednesday night. Their study determined a need for senior housing and affordable, convenient transportation. The task force recommends establishing a resource hub and a point person to help seniors navigate all the different resources that are available to them.
This year's State of the Cities had a common theme. For mayors of Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Maple Grove, and Osseo, the top issues were transportation and redevelopment.
We continue to see significant redevelopment. It's one of our highest priorities in Brooklyn Center, using and redeveloping underutilized, undervalued sites, transforming them into higher uses.
And we in Maple Grove anticipate that this area will see that type of significant development over the next 5-10 years in our city as well.
Maple Grove and Brooklyn Park have seen development along 610. For Brooklyn Park, an important decision looms on light rail.
This is a big deal. It is a 100-year decision. It's not a road. At the end of the day, we look at it as when people get off the airport and they look at the light rail and they're trying to figure out where they are. Brooklyn Park is going to be at the end of one of those rail lines, and that's where we want to be. We know that's important.
Osseo Mayor Dwayne Poppy mentioned more than $30 million invested in development projects either completed or underway. He also touted the city's spirit, seen in Osseo's state champion football team.
Every playoff game they were behind, and they came back and won. And really, that's kind of the epitome of the Osseo spirit. You know, we're down and out. You know, people count us out, backs against the wall, but we continue to find a way.
The mayors also mentioned improvements in the housing market. They say there is encouraging results from programs that tear down old homes and rebuild them. What good is a product if people don't know that it exists?
Well, that's where marketing comes into play. And as Delane Cleveland reports, Golden Valley is looking at ways to promote all that the city has to offer.
I think there's big upside, potential upside for Golden Valley.
Golden Valley has a variety of amenities, a massive park system, golf courses, and places to shop and eat.
We're wonderful. Our proximity to Minneapolis obviously is huge. We have great access to the road system, the highway system, the freeway system.
However, city officials admit it's not easy trying to get the word out about what's offered here.
You can't use public tax dollars to sort of market private entities.
That may be true, but for their neighbors on the south side of 394, they figure out a way to get people to shop, dine, work, and play in St. Louis Park. The organization Discover St. Louis Park was established about 5 years ago to promote and market the city. Now Golden Valley is looking to partner with them to establish a convention and visitors bureau that promotes both cities.
Well, it started with a grassroots marketing group here in Golden Valley, approached the city council that had asked, are there ways we can celebrate Golden Valley more, bring in more economic development, bring folks from outside our community into our community.
Much to the city's delight, St. Louis Park was open to the partnership.
We're hoping this partnership works and works well.
Under the proposed plan, Golden Valley would fund the partnership by establishing a lodging tax of up to 3%, paid by people staying in the city's 2 hotels.
The estimate for Golden Valley right now is about $150,000 to $160,000 a year, and those are funds that would be available to the CVB folks to market Golden Valley.
A bold move that, if all goes as planned, would boost visitors and stimulate economic growth.
I'm behind it, cheering all the way.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
The proposal still has to be approved by the board of Discover St. Louis Park and the city councils from both cities. If that happens, it would take about a year to build up enough revenue before Golden Valley can begin its marketing campaign. The Maple Grove Indoor Farmers Market is back for the new year. There is a growing multicultural feel to the market, from French crepes to Polish pierogies to authentic Korean sauces. It runs one Thursday each month through April at the Maple Grove Community Center, and if you can't make it tonight, the next indoor market is set for February 11th. Well, coming up, a standout student in Brooklyn Center who lets her actions do the talking.
And then later in sports, the highly ranked Osseo and Maple Grove boys basketball teams get set for their Friday night showdown.
But first, turning colder again on Friday. Temperatures dipping into the teens by nightfall. This week's standout student is kind and bright and shines through musical theater.
For senior Michelle Vang, it is all about bringing joy to others through performance arts.
Right? One, and you never know till you reach the top if it was worth the uphill climb.
It's fitting we find 17-year-old Michelle Vang working with her choir director on a ballad from Broadway.
I don't have the time to waste on you anymore.
This Brooklyn Center high school senior has a passion for music and theater.
Loves music. That's something where I think she finds a home for herself.
That's a huge passion. I loved singing since I was younger. I was always a shy person to express my love for music, but as I got older during middle school, I started to express, get involved more in choir and just performing for others, and I gained a lot of confidence from doing that.
A good student, yet a reserved and subtle leader, Michelle expresses herself through performance.
She can be very shy and very self-effacing, and then you put her on stage and this complete other person comes forward. And I think that's one of the things that she enjoys about it.
Last year, Michelle was awarded the lead role in the spring musical, playing Tracy Turnblad in Hairspray.
Being in theater, I get to play a lot of these characters I feel that I can relate to and also express that to the audience.
That phrase, for my own sanity, I've got to close the door, there's an emotional shift there.
Michelle is working hard on her next performances, knowing she's found a place for herself through music and theater that feels like home.
She's a very neat young woman, and I know she's going to do well.
You gotta go after the things you want while you're still in your prime.
Michelle plans to pursue a music major in college, and she has applied to 4 Minnesota schools, including St. Olaf and the College of St. Benedict. Coming up, how a Brooklyn Park Elementary School is using fitness to boost academics.
But first in sports, ice fishing time has arrived, and Terry Tuma has some tips for reeling in the big one. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back. Well, we start with a preview of what looks like on paper a really good matchup for basketball.
I think it will be. It's going to be a big crowd at Osseo Friday night. It's a good thing they have a big gymnasium to hold all the people that want to go, I think. It's always a big game locally when Osseo and Maple Grove meet in just about any sport. Friday night, their boys basketball matchup is of statewide interest. Maple Grove is ranked number 3 in the state in Class 4A and carries a 12-1 record into the game at Osseo Friday. The only loss for the Crimson is in overtime to second-ranked and defending state champion Apple Valley. The leading scorer, Taiwan Pickford, recently suffered a knee injury and is out. Crimson expect a great game, especially with both teams doing so well.
In the past years, it's always been pretty lopsided either way, you know, going back and forth. But this year, obviously, they've had a great start so far, undefeated, and we've had a strong start as well. So it's always a great game with the fans and the whole atmosphere there, and it's always competitive no matter how great the records are. But this year, for sure, will be something special.
It's a great environment. Both communities come out and support really well. The fans come. The student sections are always fun. We're going to focus on what we have to do on the court, but yeah, it's always a great atmosphere. I dial it up a little bit more when it's like that.
Osseo has had a great season so far, and a win over Maple Grove would add to a growing list of good wins. The Orioles, who are unranked coming into the season, have climbed to number 4 in the state poll. They are 14-0, recently had road wins over both Armstrong and Champlin Park. Orioles coach Tim Tyson has been through a lot of big games and looks forward to this one.
They present a number of challenges. They're a team that, no doubt, is one of the top teams in the state. Anytime you put 4 Division I players on the court, you have an expectation not just to win games, but to maybe win a state title. They have that opportunity this year. But we're going to play hard. You know, don't discount Osseo on that either. It'll be a tough challenge for these kids. They grew up with them. They know them.
Friday night's boys game between the Orioles and Crimson is the back end of a girls-boys varsity doubleheader between the schools. Well, both games live on Channel 12 and 12.tv. You can watch Osseo Maple Grove girls at 5:30 Friday, followed at around 7:30 by the boys game. The replays air Saturday night at 7 and Sunday night at 10 for the girls. The boys replays on Channel 12 are Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 7 p.m. The Under-18 Women's Hockey World Championships are being played in St. Catharines, Ontario, and 3 local girls are skating for Team USA. Maple Grove's Taylor Wente, Wayzata's Natalie Heising, and Breck's Grace Zumwink will try to help Team USA beat Sweden on Thursday night. A victory will send the Americans to the gold medal game on Friday against either Canada or Russia. Wente has 6 points in the tournament, while Zumwinkle has 1 goal and 1 assist. Springbobbers can be a useful tool in helping catching fish during the winter. Terry Tuma explains in this week's Channel 12 ice fishing tip.
Springbobbers are not just for finicky crappies and bluegills in the wintertime. And what we need to really relate to is the spring bobber is an extension of your rod tip. Somebody was just asking me, what is a spring bobber? It's an extension of your rod tip, but as you can see, it doesn't take any movement whatsoever to move your lure up and down. We have a tendency too many times to over jig spooking fish, and what we want to do is, first of all, use the proper type of lure weight-wise, just so you can bend that spring bobber down about 30 degrees. And then what I do most of the, instead of jigging, constantly like this, you're really moving that lure a ton. What I do most of the time is hold the rod horizontal to my body, and then take my other hand, one of the finger, and just tick that spring bobber, and that's going to provide a lot of movement. And when we're talking ticking, it's just very, very little. Also, too, is there's a couple other things we need to talk about here. Is one, if that spring bobber just sort of pulls down real slow and steady, that's usually a big fish. If it sort of jumps like this, that's an indication you have a small fish biting. And then too, what you want to do with a spring bobber is so often, I just talked to somebody the other day, is with the spring bobber, not even with a spring bobber, we have this tendency not to want to set the hook, especially for crappie fishing. We have to set the hook. When you're using spring bobbers, again, just understanding what happens with that spring, so you're going to set the hook with a spring bobber, and if you don't set it firm, but that spring bobber is going to bend, so now you're going to provide not a real good hook set. So set it hard, and you're going to land that fish through the ice.
Thanks, Terry. That's it for sports today.
All right, thanks, John. Still ahead, embracing Minnesota winters to help boost the brain.
Local elementary schools' novel approach to the outdoors when we come back.
All right, super sleuths, it is time for clue number 2 of Plymouth's Fire and Ice Medallion Hunt.
And here it is. It reads, bundle up and don't forget your walking shoes. We hope you have fun as we give you more clues. Enjoy the outdoors at the playground nearby. Follow the path north and you'll need a good eye. And the Plymouth resident who finds the medallion receives a $250 prize. And it does have to be a Plymouth resident who finds it. We'll see. Well, finally, using fitness to boost academics.
At Parkbrook Elementary, students are embracing winter with Snowshoe Boot Camp. Photojournalist Dustin Scholl takes us there.
The biggie, guys, is tight because once you start walking, then they loosen up on you.
This is the Snowshoe Boot Camp. We'll take them out here and we'll have like a track that they'll go around today. Everybody's going to need a right and a left, so there you go. And even though it's the first time for a lot of them, they're going to be running around like they don't even have anything on their feet. It's really cool.
Focus on fitness, burn energy, and have fun.
Well, the Snowshoe Boot Camp, it's part of our focus on fitness, trying to have our students be real active and moving all the time here at Parkbrook.
You don't even notice how cold it is out, do we, guys? No.
We live in Minnesota. If we embrace the seasons, we get to choose the attitude that we want. We can choose to have this be a time when we stay inside, or we can choose to say we have something that we can do that other parts of the world and parts of the United States cannot do.
They forget how cold it is out. They're just out there having fun. A lot of times they're coming in, they're just sweating. They've been moving around so much.
It's just a great way to be outside.
And there's just so many experiences that they don't get if they weren't out there. They're just amazed that they can actually do it. They're just out there having fun.
You know, it gives them a new experience and something they can do later on in life and throughout their life. But it's also a way for them to be engaged with the school. It's just a great way to be outside.
It's an awesome experience for the kids.
In early February, several Parkbrook students will participate in the Luminary Lopit. That is a snowshoe and cross-country ski event in Minneapolis. And Principal Taylor plans to do the race with the kids. You think they were having some fun out there?
Oh, man. They did not feel any cold whatsoever.
And running, just like she said, running right away.
Embrace winter, yeah.
That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we'll see you back here tomorrow.